TiE into your chat window. May I repeat that? I request you all to join me in thanking them by typing TiE or thank you into your chat window. Let's thank Anita Kanbargi. Let's thank Dr. Raj Belgaonkar. Thank you, Venkatesh Patil. Thank you, Mr. Nagaraj Bhatt. Thank you, Kiran Agadi. And thank you, Mahesh Bhirangi. Ladies and gentlemen, our webinar today features some of the industry's prominent leaders and influencers. Leading the panelists and moderating today's session will be Mr. Kiran Deshpande, founder of Mojo Networks and past president, TiE Pune. We also have from the medical fraternity, Dr. Shashikant Kulgod, Director BHS Lakeview Hospitals. From the real estate sector, we have Mr. Chaitanya Kulkarni, who is the MD, C-Care and CGK Constructions. The automotive sector finds representation over here with Mr. Kiran Agadi, who is the Managing Director, Nag Shanti Group. The finance sector has Dr. Datta Kanbargi, who is an independent financial advisor. And the manufacturing and engineering sector has presence in the form of Mr. Mahesh Bhirangi, who is the Managing Director, Pragati Engineering, Belgavi. I now request Mr. Kiran Deshpande, our lead panelist and moderator, to please take over the proceedings of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajay. Good evening, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon in case you're logging in from out of the country. With the virtual world, it's not necessary that it's good evening for everyone. It could be anything else. Welcome to this TiE Hubli webinar. And as Ajay has mentioned, we have a very eminent panelist, specifically from Belgavi, who will actually help us go through the how do we look at COVID-19, survive and grow, and specifically for Belgavi, that's what we will do. I'm going to now share the screen if I can, and let me see if I can do that. Ajay, can you help me share the screen, please? Or Vishal?
Yes, sir. Vishal?
Sir, share screen option is not open for the participants. So I think you need to be co-host for that purpose.
Yes.
So host has to make you co-host and then only you can share the screen. Thank you.
Make me co-host.
Dr. Shashikant is a host. I think he can make you co-host.
How do I do that?
Okay, let's do one thing. By the time they make me host and I share the screen, let's get going. You will see the screen. What we're going to do today is we are going to split this 1 hour session, roughly about 1 hour into 40 and, 20 minutes. 40 minutes is when we will have conversation with our panel of experts. And 20 minutes would be when we will open the webinar for questions by all of you, the participants, and that's when you can ask questions. While we go through the conversations, I would request all of you to type in your questions in the chat window if you can, so that we can make it efficient for answering those questions. Please be brief in your questions so that we can pick them up quickly and answer as many as we can. When I get my share screen, I will share with you email IDs just in case there are too many questions and we are not able to accommodate all of them in this 60 minutes. We will definitely get back to you with the answer from the panelists. Make sure that you write the name of the panelist to whom you ask the question. If you do not, then I will take the liberty to do that for you. Let me see if I no, I'm still not. Okay. So as Ajay mentioned, we have a very eminent panel here with Shashikant, with Datta, with Kiran Agadi, with Mahesh, and with Chaitanya, representing different sectors. Shashikant brings tremendous healthcare experience being a doctor, fellow of Royal College of Surgeons from United Kingdom. He's got 3 hospitals very much in your part of the woods. Datta is an established, recognized financial advisor. Good to have him on board. Kiran Agadi brings the automotive showroom experience. Mahesh brings manufacturing, which is very critical for us. And Chaitanya brings real estate, a tough industry, but what he has done and thrived there. And I would fill in for IT if I can, and there may be questions around IT technology, and I would fill that in. Let me see if I can try my share screen again.
Yes, you have enabled. He has enabled share screen for you.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yes, Kiran sir, you can do it now.
Let me see if what screen I have got.
Yeah. We can see your screen.
But I don't want you to see my screen. I want you to see my PowerPoint. New share. Advanced. Let me see if I can do that. That's not what I want to share. Shop there. Okay. So let's continue with this. Let's see where it is right now. Shashikant, I want to Shashikant Kulgod, I want to pick up all my questions. Before I ask you the question, help us understand the difference between epidemic and pandemic. I'm sure many people have heard this term pandemic very recently. So what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, epidemic is basically limited to a particular location, one country or so, wherein it becomes all over the world. And there are multiple definitions people use for various diseases. When it becomes more than few countries, then it is called as pandemic.
Okay. So pandemic is across the country around the globe.
Yeah.
Spanish flu?
Sorry, I didn't get a question. Can you go again?
The one before this was in 1920, the Spanish flu?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Many people do not know, Shashikant, what was the experience then. And being 100 years back, we don't have people who lived through that pandemic to tell us. And
Correct.
in our conversation, you mentioned that you have some insights into what happened there. Can you share with all our participants, all of us, what you know about what happened during the Spanish flu?
Correct. Now, Spanish flu was called Spanish flu. It was a strain of influenza which hit all over the world around the time of World War I. So around 1918, it started in the trenches of Europe with the soldiers. And it was brought to India when we limit our conversation to what happened to India. It was brought to India by soldiers who came through the ships and docked in Mumbai, and over about in June of 1918. And within no time, it spread over Mumbai, causing havoc in terms of people getting severe fever and people dying in droves. And then it went off for a while during the monsoons. And the second wave hit hard the whole country because the migrants and everybody was moving away. And that was also during the time of famine in India. And the second wave was more deadlier, and it killed more than 10 million people during that pandemic in just India itself.
I see. Okay, very serious. Okay. Now my question, and Shashikant, I'll come back to you a little bit later. I don't have my screens right now, but I'm just going to go extempore right now. And the idea, all participants, was to put the question on the screen while we have the conversation, so you all know what we are talking about. But let's go ahead without it, because I'm not able to do it properly. You know, my PowerPoint is somewhere else. My question to all the panelists is, there are some common concerns people have right now. What I've heard is that the economy is back by 10, 20 years. We're going to change our lifestyle. I've also heard someone say that, mark my words, you will lose a loved one. The businesses are back, governments are behaving. There is absolutely, no clear way forward. Having said that, I have also seen tremendous opportunity. I don't think so many people got onto a tool called Zoom in last 1 month. And I've also heard that telemedicine has sort of come forward by several decades what it was trying to do over last 5 or 10 years. So, I'll just sort of ask, starting with Datta, Kiran, Mahesh, Chaitanya, and Shashikant, come back to you. Your one or two key comments about this whole situation, if you can just get for all the panel, all our participants, your overall view of this COVID-19. So, Datta, starting with you. Overall comments is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. Yeah, it's true that we have gone back almost by 10 years in terms of economy. And more painful is previous to 2020, also 2000, last 3 years, we have not made any returns in equity. So that is more painful compared to the fall of 2008. 2008, what had happened, the market had from 2003, 2004, it had rallied up to 2007 and then it had fallen. But here from 2007 to 2020 also we have not seen any returns. And due to Corona, again, the market have tanked by almost 40%. So it is more painful. And earlier scenario was that it was due to some scandal or some financial institution fallout. But this is because of medical problems, and unless and until we get some vaccine or medicine, where we will reach is very difficult to predict, and that is a concern.
So economy is going to shrink, is what you're saying. Economy
Yes.
is basically going to shrink. Okay. Kiran, your take on this, Kiran Agadi?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to tell that government of India has done pretty good job in controlling this spread of virus. So, and if the same continues without a complete lockdown, and then there are chances of a slightly recovery of the economy, maybe from Q2 and Q3, and we may achieve some rapid growth post that, like maybe in the financial year 2021. Yes, of course it has hit everyone, but since it is beyond anybody's control, I think it might pick up from the quarter 2 or quarter 3.
Okay, fair enough. Mahesh, your perspective?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. What the pandemic has done basically is it has hit the psyche of everybody very hard. And when I say it has hit the psyche, people have become, there are two ways how it has hit. One, people have learned to live on a very minimalistic approach, taking into account that they have learned how to live within their means. The excess expenditure, maybe like going out for a vacation or going out to a hotel or enjoyment, that has been curtailed over the last few days or maybe a month or so. And this is what people have learned to live with. So what I feel we may see in the nearby future is people may be afraid to spend like they used to be spending earlier. So this will definitely hit the economy. And going ahead, we may be facing some turbulent times before we get up and running.
Okay. Wonderful. Chaitanya, your perspective?
Yeah, I feel, sir, this is like, it's a big thing which has happened after a century. And definitely it will have its impact. We are not sure whether we are at the start or we are at the mid or we are at the end. So definitely it will take some time. But I'm sure this is a temporary phenomena and people will get back to their originals, though something may change because of the corona. But I am sure we are going to be on track very soon. We are very strong, and definitely once in the coming days, if all the vaccination, everything comes, I think coming maybe in the 1.5 year, I think everything will be as normal as we are now. I'm pretty hopeful about this.
Well, I like your optimism. I just mentioned that we had 1 crore, 10 million people died in India when India's population was possibly less than 300 million. So I'm sure there is hope right now with a lot more technology and everything. I want to now go back to Datta, and I'll come to Shashikant a little bit later. But Datta, tell us one thing. Uh, how much cash should we conserve? 9 months, 6 months, 3 months? If I have money in the bank as a business, what should I do? How much should I plan for? This is a question most startup founders ask. Should I plan for 9 months of no revenue, 6 months of no revenue? How much cash one should conserve?
Yeah, it's true. For most of the businesses, survival is important today over growth, and even cutting the losses is very important. And in this situation, cash is king. If we don't see demand in near future, I think anything between 12 to 15 months, the businesses should conserve with the cash. That's what I personally feel.
Perfect. My second question to you is, this is something that many people do not get it, and I've seen your articles. You have amazing ability to take a complex economic issue and
Thank you.
down to which anyone a homemaker can understand. Let's say my business is say 50 crore last year, and because of pandemic, it is going to go down to say 20 crore, which was like 5 years back. How do I say, was it 20 crores or was it less, more? What are the other factors that play in when I see a downturn to my business? Let's say you mentioned that economy is back to 2010. Maybe my business was 10 crores in 2010. Today is 50 crore. What should I do? Is it really 10 crore or something else happens there?
I'll answer this in a reverse way. Suppose my turnover is today 50 crore and it becomes say 100 crores in next 5 years. It includes two factors. One is inflation. Inflation is nothing but your wages are going up, your raw material prices are going up, electricity, power, fixed overheads are going up, raw material, everything is going up. Because of that, your manufacturing cost goes up and you pass it out to the customer and you get more rate for your material. So your turnover is increasing because of inflation. That is part one. Second, your turnover is increasing because of more demand. Like last year we were selling say 100 mobiles, and this year demand is for 107 mobiles. So this is how it works in two parts. That is, one is inflation, one is demand. So if your turnover is growing because of demand, it is good. And otherwise, say with 6% inflation, as it is 100 crore becomes 200 crores in 9 years. Say 9 to 10 years, your turnover will be double. So what you have contributed because of demand, that is more important, along with the cost increase.
Okay, so what you're saying is the genuine growth of the business, you need to separate from inflationary trends.
Yes, correct.
And this is a very important aspect. Often enough, founders do not take into account where the real demand is. And I know that in software industry, the arbitrage of the foreign exchange sometimes can boost profit by about 20-30%, but that's the arbitrage, that's not your real business. So it's very, very important point to take for all of us who are doing that. For personal investment, let's say I'm a founder and just before COVID, I closed a 4 crore round. Now that money is in the bank and let's say it's for 1 year. So I'm spending like 30 to 35 lakhs a month. Rest of the money is in the bank. Where should I park it today?
Yeah, if you don't need that money for say in mutual fund point of view, I can say you can park it in liquid fund or short-term debt funds, because today short-term debt funds are giving something around 6.5-7% returns. If you don't need money for say anything more than 6 months to 10 months or a year, so safely you can expect 6.5-7% returns. But if it is lesser also, anything more than 8 days to 3 months, 6 months also, liquid funds can safely deliver say 5.5% returns. And that's the best way of you making use of idle money, because current account doesn't pay you anything. Savings bank account hardly pays 3% returns. So compared to that, these are the better products which one can consider.
And can we do the same thing for our personal finances or should be different?
Personal, again, depend upon the requirement of money.
Right.
the duration after what period you need that money, that will play the role of choosing a scheme or a product.
No, it's very important, for everyone. What Datta has brought out, that fiscal management, financial engineering is very important to is as important to the business as is the building the product or services. Sometimes I'm an engineer, but I'm very acutely aware of the fact that I don't understand finances, so I pay more attention. You can elongate the life of your company, pay to your lowest end of your employees, take care of some emergencies, take care of some of the downturn in the business. So it is very important to make sure that every money, every rupee you have in the bank is put to the right use, not very greedy, but not, lazy either. Thank
Kiranji, I would like to add one thing here. I'll just give an example. There's something called weekend parking. So you can park on, suppose we take example, 1 crore rupees. You park it on Friday and withdraw it on Monday. So your money is lying there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 days. On that 1 crore, one can make almost more than 2 lakh rupees in a year.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
It's a big amount. So some employee costs, some expenses we can cover in that.
Correct, correct. Because one of my boss in the 90s, he always used to say, if I can save a penny, I will. If I have to invest a million, I will. So that's the hallmark of a good person. I just want to relate it to cricket, which is a sport I always derive from. A good batter always doesn't let go of a loose ball. Even if the chips are down, if there is a loose ball, that'll be put outside the park while you play very defensively. So this is the time for not being too aggressive, but at the same time not being too lazy. Wonderful. Kiran, I want to come to you and ask a question. I know you are very passionate about automotive. What's your view? How will automobile change? Will the cars, trucks, or let's take the personal transportation. We go to a showroom, we look at the car, we buy a car, we don't buy a car, all that stuff. Is that going to change significantly with COVID-19?
Yes, we are expecting a significant change in buying behavior after the lockdown. Consumer preference will be more towards individual health, hygiene, and cleanliness during travel. So post-pandemic, we are expecting consumer to switch more towards personal mobility and try avoiding public transport. So, but also with the subdued sentiments and an aversion towards higher discretionary spends, there is expected to be a increased demand on two-wheelers, entry segment cars, and pre-owned cars. And in respect of the customer coming to our showroom, because of the fear factor, not only our showroom, customers try to avoid coming out of their homes, and so we as the automotive sector, like from dealership, so we are looking into more into online pattern from the offline pattern. So we have to focus on more contactless sales. We have to unlearn the old conventional methods and learn more of closing sales online and doorstep deliveries. These are the few things which we have to focus to increase the sales.
Do you think the car sales will go up because auto industry is very, very critical to the country and it has been on a very weak wicket even before COVID-19? So
Correct.
you will see something like that happen across the country?
Yeah, actually, if you look at the China automotive market post lockdown, there has been a significant growth in the auto sales. So, looking at that kind scenario, here also we are expecting there will be some growth, and also we are hoping there will be some drop in the interest rates, and the government may come out with some reduction in the taxation. So we are hoping for that. And sure, like for two-wheeler and entry level cars and pre-owned cars, definitely there will be a growth.
Do you feel for public transport, this is especially for the likes of Ola or Uber, this will be a tough time?
Yeah, the existing formats of pay per use will change for a long term, like monthly rentals or yearly rentals. So they also have to change the format because now pay per use people may not prefer going for 1 hour, 2 hour, or 6 hours, considering the hygiene factor, hygiene and health factor. So they have to change their model, business model, for a monthly or a half yearly kind of long lease kind of segment format.
Kiran, there is a lot of companies, businesses that hang off automobile industry. And so I'll come to that question with Mahesh on the manufacturing side. But do you have, like you talked about, online sale, home delivery to minimize the physical distancing, which is what people are worried about. Any other bright ideas you have for all our participants?
Yeah, now basically there is a huge opportunity like in terms of digital service, health and hygiene sector. Now, like we are expecting there will be a reverse migration, like people would be coming back to their back to hometown concept from metros to the tier 2, tier 3 cities or rural areas because of the change in the work culture. Now, if you see the present format, the home has become the new venue for all the activities like work from home, entertainment, food, everything. It is the next venue for everybody. So, looking at this, there will be a tremendous potential in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. That is what I expect. And with that, there are many business opportunities like digital services, as I said, health and hygiene sector, residential complex in real estate, doorstep delivery services, internet service provider, and even in like now because of this uh, people are focusing more on health, like packed foods and vegetables will see a spike, sanitization products and services, video streaming. All these are the new business areas where people can look at. And all these will not be limited to only metros, but also very much relevant to pan India, like tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well.
We'll come back there. You brought a very important point. We'll come back to it towards the end. I want to move to Mahesh. And Mahesh, you've always maintained that the manufacturing industry. I want to ask you two questions and I want to let me share those questions with you. One is that you've said that manufacturing needs to reduce dependence on the automobile industry, right? And I was talking to Datta some time back that automobile industry among the Sensex or the Nifty is about 15 or 14%, or 5% or something like that. Uh, what are your ideas about that? The second part which I want to ask you is, which is becoming the core of a lot of debate in India, not just India, but globally. India has a huge SMB sector, small business enterprises. Now, that could be a consulting company with a very modern offering, to a lathe or a foundry or a diamond merchant in Surat, to textile in Tamil Nadu. It's very diverse, it's very big. And if they survive, the country has a huge lift up. But if they croak under, if they go under the pressure in COVID-19, then we have a bigger issue with hunger, unemployment, and everything. So, two parts. One is the dependence on automotive. How do we reduce that? And what are your ideas about the SMBs?
Like I had said earlier, sorry, that the pandemic has really hit the psyche of people very hard. Though I feel the automotive sector dependence, like you rightly pointed out, we are almost 40% depending on it, should get reduced because any hit to the automotive sector would hit manufacturing very badly, and that is what we have been, as well as the economy very badly. That is what we have been seeing for the past 1 to 2 years. While I say this, the innovations would really be the order of the day, and we can they may not be very big innovations. They could be very small innovations. If I talk about Belgavi post-COVID, we could see a huge amount of contactless dispensers being made, operated by the foot. And this is a very small innovation if you think about it, but it was nevertheless an innovation. People came out with it. So this would be the order of the day. The government has been very much focusing on the Make in India through its defense, and it wants many more to reduce the reliance of defense on the outside countries. So currently the defense sector is estimated at somewhere around 20,000 crores, and it is expected to go up to 70,000 crores by 2025. And this is where the MSMEs would really stand to benefit. And this is one area which we could explore about. Having said that, even the railways are on a major modernization program, and we could be participating in the railways requirement for general railway infrastructure. This is long distance trains and all. And for that matter, even on the metro infrastructure, while I would agree to a certain extent with Kiran that the public transport would be hit a lot, but at the same time, with the metro infrastructure in place with in almost all the metro cities, the government may look at increasing the number of metro trains so as to reduce the to reduce the load on the road infrastructure, which would go up provided the passenger vehicles or the passenger segment improves. And what this may lead to is more number of metro coaches. So that is one more area which we could definitely be looking at. The government has become very aggressive as well with the semiconductor policy, and it wants us to be more and more self-dependent and self-reliant, maybe not self-dependent, self-reliant on the semiconductors as well. And so semiconductor chip designing, we have Vayava in Belgaum as well, who is into semiconductor. One of the offshoots, Sankhya is also there into semiconductor. So these industries could be the areas which could help us reduce the dependence on the automotive sector. And there may be many more like medical devices which would undergo lots of transformation. There will be more and more necessity of medical devices. I was speaking to a doctor friend of mine who happens to be a dentist, and he said the new post-COVID, what it has made is every patient comes in, I have to now take an infrared thermometer, point to his forehead, take his temperature, so on and so forth. So this is another area of what you call industry sector, which could see a major change and which could offer lots of opportunities. Coming to a second question of SMBs in general, I think SMBs offer a lot of potential for growth, and more so, there are many SMBs who are family owned, and they could as well professionalize their operations, and they could give us a lot of opportunities for growth also. There are many instances, many examples also which SMBs have been made professional by the families, and they have become very successful. Dabur is a case to note, which professionalized somewhere around 2008, if my memory goes me right, and a very classic case study about that. And as we go ahead, the SMB sector does stand to gain a lot out of this post-COVID. It is just a matter of how we can tweak our own business model, change, digitize the SMB space, what we are in, and see how we can take growth from there.
Perfect. And actually, you know, it's something that we have discussed before. Yeah. And I sort of thought I'll share with the larger participants. I think in TiE, we talk about globality. Globality means your business need not be global, but your processes, your technology, your management style, everything is global. And I always give the example of a jeweler. There is no way, this is such a diverse country for cuisines, jewelry. You know, what goes in Pune may not go in Ludhiana, what goes in Ludhiana may not be in Chennai. So it's an amazingly diverse country with diverse taste. But every jeweler must be able to compete with a Tanishq or a Zales corporation, even if you're very small. So we teach that within TiE, and this is very important for all the SMBs. Those of you who are running small companies, if you professionalize them, if you're at the ahead of the technology, you have nothing to fear. And I have to give you one example, and I was part of it. TCS was less than 200 people in 1985, 19 probably in the 80s, 300 to 400 people. IBM was 98% of the computing at that time. And you see where it is today. It is all about the management, the quality of people, and how you move forward. Everybody can do that. And you know, Mahesh, you brought out Sankhya, and I'll come back to it a little bit later when we look at everything in terms of what Belgavi has and what it can do. I want to now go to Chaitanya. Chaitanya, I just want to share with you this working from home. I had my first experience of working from home in 1985. And this was like just a year before, after personal computer was launched. And this was because I was in Dallas and I had to set up an office for TCS. I did not know the city. I said, before I said, go rent an office, let me work from home. And my wife became my secretary and she did a lot of Federal Expresses at that time because she used to go out and do that. Now, if you look at the United States as a country, it has had a culture of working from home. I was talking to you yesterday that when you hire senior sales or senior people in US, you don't worry about if the person in San Francisco or New York or whatever. You hire them for what they are and they work from home and people get together. It has also happened to senior executives all across the world, including India. Most of us, when you work from a hotel, you work from somewhere else, you work from home all the time. However, Indian homes, because of our social structure, we don't want to be alone anywhere. We are always together. Chora hai, chopala hai, main yard hai, aage makan, piche dukaan, aage dukaan, piche makan. It's a very socially integrated society. Now with this massive working from home happening across the board, what do you see changes need to happen in design of houses to bring this thing into practice?
So good evening. It's really the things, as you said, Corona has changed a lot many definitions. The first impact itself was stay home, stay safe. It never said stay home in a hotel or an industry or a resort. Jokes apart, but everybody has realized the values of home. And work from home culture, as you rightly said, though it's not a new one, but entire India has now graduated because of the Corona working from home. And there was a difference, like when you were working in the 1984, working from home was very different. And for that matter, for a city like Belgavi 2 years ago, it was very difficult to work from home because of a lot of aspects. But now over the past 2-3 years, if you see, like the smart city project, not many things which have changed the entire scenario of this tier 2 and tier 3 projects, the city especially. So now you may not be surprised. I can connect with the internet of a speed of 1 Gbps at Belgavi itself. So these are the excellent opportunities that now that they are growing in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which will definitely help everybody to just think of work from home even in India. And I think one of our participants was asking the same question. I think that that TCS is moving. Vijay was asking like whether the TCS moving it 75% of the employees from home. And definitely it's a gradual process that is going to happen. But I'm sure, sir, because looking into all the younger generation, which is from North Karnataka, the major of them are working in Pune as well as in Bangalore or across the globe at this end. And during this pandemic, everybody felt that even they could not reach out their parents when they were really in need. So that this is one key factor which will drive them to work from home. That is one concept. As you rightly said, now we are not ready for the work from home concept. But after this Corona, as I being a developer, now we have already started designing a home which will be like WFH ready homes. So wherein, we got the best of the best, excellent opportunity, we can have the best of the best internet and a workplace that we have already started doing, and it is going to be part of the integral part of the designing in the coming days. And especially for all other cities, like what I said, now the connectivity is like a city like Belgavi, if you take it as a center, we have got almost 3 airports which are working at Belgavi as the center, in a radius of 100 kilometers. And almost a daily, we have connectivity of almost 75 stations all across Kolhapur. So if you look into that, the connectivity is not a problem. The excellent network is not a problem. So anybody now can work from home. That's an easy opportunity. And I, as a builder and developer, definitely see who is working presently working in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, like a city like Belgavi. Look at great opportunity. Definitely, we are going to have very nice homes coming in, and a lot of people will be migrating, and we'll be having homes which will be WFH ready, and maybe it can be a good asset class for all of us, and we are going to have definitely a bright surge in the sales of the flats, especially with all these facilities in the coming days.
Perfect. Actually, we are, towards the last 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes. And what I want to do is we started a little bit late, because of all the other things. I want to turn the focus to Belgavi, a town that I love. Every time we come to Belgavi, my wife and we say, I say, how about settling here? And she said, don't spoil Belgavi, let them be nice there. Because, she says that, let's not go and spoil small towns. We're from Bangalore, Pune, let's slug it out here. But if you see good weather, it is very cosmopolitan. Most people probably do not know, but people like us who come from outside, find it very cosmopolitan. It has an amazing medical, as Shashikant mentioned, amazing infrastructure of education and, colleges, medical facilities. It is also good weather. We have good weather in Pune, but we don't experience it because of the size and density. But in Belgavi, it is very nice. The travel, uh, my sister lives there, and 200 meters I can go and meet one company, another 300 meters I can go and meet another company, just amazingly good. Having said that, I think all of you gentlemen probably may agree that sometimes in small towns we are not very aggressive. We are not audacious to think big. And we sometimes feel that we are missing out because we are not in San Francisco or we are not in Bangalore. So while there is an opportunity, there is also something that people in Belgavi need to do. And I just might extend it that Hubli, Dharwad, Belgavi, and Mahesh was talking to me about something from Nipani, all the way to Kolhapur. This is an amazing belt. The founder calls it the NH4 power. So just, for each one of you, maybe I'll start with Shashikant, maybe 30 seconds, your pitch on what Belgavi should do to leverage this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, like what Mahesh was saying the other time, like a lot of people hadn't looked at healthcare as an industry whether they want to be in. And I'm sure many people would have had a look into an ICU ever, hopefully not, and never had anybody who needed ICU care.
Right.
But after seeing the visuals from all over the country and all over the world, and need for trying to ramp up the production of ventilators, etc. So there is a large amount of medical device industry which is needed, and we knew that only 1 or 2 small manufacturers of ventilators were there in India, and we import most of the precision equipment into India. Belgaum being a city with lot more people, but industries focused on automobiles, I think they could definitely shift their focus onto medical devices. That would be a good thing for the medical community as well. We can interact with them. And I'm actually quite happy and want to share with you that when this thing about PPE kit came and we needed the face shield, that was with a TiE Connect. I actually spoke to Vinayak Lokor. I need somebody, if industry has anybody who makes this. And he directed me to Deepak Chandak of Vega helmets. And we interacted in 2-3 times, and then we have face shield of Vega all over the country. So this is something which can go a long way.
Perfect, perfect. Anybody else want to comment on for any ideas about coordinated action for Belgavi so that this town goes ahead? Like Mahesh, you have said tier 2, tier 3, everybody is going to happen. What do we do in Belgavi to leverage that? Shashikant talked about the medical device. What else can we do?
Sir, I feel like, I think Mahesh can take it.
Yeah, go ahead, Chaitanya, please go ahead.
Sir, as you know, we are exactly centrally located, whether it is from Mumbai or Bangalore, from Hyderabad. And we are exactly on the industrial corridor of Bombay, Bangalore. And recently the latest development which has happened, like which all of us as individuals were forcing a connectivity from Dharwad to Belgavi, the rail direct connectivity, which is like on the main highway of the industrial corridor itself. So this kind of connectivity will definitely improve a lot of industrial zones which are planning to come up, and it can be one of the best thing that which we can develop. A person from Kolhapur can move to Belgaum, or from Belgaum or Dharwad, so that this connectivity and with more industrial zones on the entire sector will enhance the very good business opportunities in the coming days. And at the same time, we have got logistics park, which are the much needed, because Amazons and Flipkarts, they are all working from these three major cities. And there were ample opportunity in Belgaum where we can set up this kind of integrated logic, which is going to be interesting thing, and which will generate a lot of employment for the youth in the city, sir.
Absolutely. I'm conscious of time right now. I think what we will do is I just want to share some couple of things. I know, and I cannot share the actual organizations, but people have their eyes on Belgavi. And as Mahesh said that, we were a foundry and now electronics is needed for automotive. A whole lot of things will happen. Sankhya Lab, RK Patil's company, company that I am associated with, Fortune Info, so probably might become one of the tally of cooperative societies. There is a whole lot of things. I know a Thai entrepreneur who made non-disposable diaper from cotton, but when I asked her, I said, you need to raise 50 crore to make this business global. You got to take Huggies and on. So she got scared. Amazing entrepreneurs are there. So I think there is a significant opportunity to put everybody together. One of the things I would say is that, as Mahesh was saying, that digitizing is very important. Whether I'm on a lathe or I'm writing software, there is no reason for these two businesses to have two different cultures from a competitiveness perspective. It's 5:50 right now. We may need extra 10 minutes because we committed to participants about 20 minutes. Shall we take people's questions now?
Sure.
Okay. How do we do that? Do you have, I'm seeing some questions coming up here. Rashmi and Vishal, should we take the questions as they come along, or do you want to how do you want to do that?
Rashmi has noted down some questions.
Okay.
She'll give it to you. Once that, you can choose questions from the chat box.
Absolutely. So Rashmi, can you just send me the questions to me? I will pick those up then. Yeah, I've got it here. Priya is asking, what is the future scenario of a new business startup in coming 2 years look like? Let's say, who want to pick this question? Yeah, Kiran, go ahead. There's a question.
It depends on the sector, what they are into or what they would like to go for. Like if they are relevant to the present scenario, because post COVID-19, the world has completely changed. So keeping that in mind, if they choose the certain businesses, then definitely they will have a scope on that.
Correct. And I would just add one thing, Priya, here, that if you're in a business area sector which is getting hit or it is not going to grow, survive through this 1 month to 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, just survive through that. But if you have a business, I'm actually an investor in a company which is doing purely in the gig economy, and their business in April has actually doubled. So just depends, as Kiran said, specifically which area you're in. But assume if you're going to do fundraising, it's going to be more difficult. and you may not get it. So just be aware. The idea is to face reality at the same time, leverage the opportunity. Let me see what other questions are coming up here. Uh, Vijay Bhagwat says, Begavi has so many educational institutions. So why boys should go outside if they get an opportunity in Belgaum? I mean, I agree with you, Vijay, that there are such wonderful. I've seen some of my friends, their children have gone to Belgaum for medical or engineering, and Pune is considered the Oxford, but they've gone to Belgaum for getting education. So that's, I totally agree. Let's see. Jayan Deshpande says Belgavi should have a global perspective. Very, very true. Very true. I have a question. This is from Abhishek. Question regarding to COVID. To Dr. Shashikant, how do you see herd immunity as one of the major players in COVID? And it is difficult to make a vaccine for mutating virus. And moreover, what are the chances for vaccine? Shashikant, that's a question.
Yeah, I may take a minute more for this. There are a lot of conflicting ways various governments are looking at going ahead with COVID. There are very senior epidemiologists saying that unless the herd immunity comes, till the cure comes, all this shutdown, lockdown, prolonged lockdown is counterproductive. In fact, it should be opposite way, that you need to allow people to get infected to the extent that it doesn't overwhelm the hospitals' capacity to treat those who get sick. Though the vaccine or cure might take anywhere from 1 year to 1.5 years is what the estimates are, conservative estimates. At this particular time of technology and biology and everything being as to whole world has got best of scientific minds working on this. At the same time, we need to realize HIV has been with us for 40 years. We haven't got a full cure, nor we have got a vaccine for HIV. Similarly, there are multiple other diseases for which we don't have vaccines. So this virus could go on and on for a year or two, or it could mutate and get away before we know, and it will become part of our life that if some cure is found. So it's very difficult to know at the minute. We should depend only on the herd immunity, or should we actively pursue a policy of people getting infected rather than we presently follow the policy of trying to prevent infections from happening by a very strict and stringent lockdowns. This, I think, we are learning from various governments in the last 5 months. The history of this particular COVID is only 5 months, and various countries have dealt in different ways. UK tried to go for herd immunity, but then they very quickly shifted it out to lockdowns again. But then in India, I think prolonged lockdown will be counterproductive. Herd immunity has to come in. More people need to be infected, but that may mean opening up the shutdown or lockdowns, and when the numbers goes up, the sick people become more and starts overwhelming the hospitals, another lockdown need to come. So this has to be multiple lockdowns as the curves flatten or peak. So that's what I feel.
Okay, thanks Shashikant, thanks for a wonderful answer. Datta, for you, somebody says the debt funds are now called death funds. What's your take on that? I think you're on mute. You want to just, yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, yeah. Debt funds are going through some turbulence. No doubt about it. Franklin, do you have a minute to explain what happened in Franklin?
You can, but
yeah,
I think that Franklin was in trouble. What would we do now?
Yeah, Franklin money also, I think everybody will get the money. Whether when they have put 100 rupees, whether they will get 100 or 98, that is the question. And when they will get, that is the question. But everybody will definitely get the money, because those are not junk papers, junk bonds, investable papers. And Franklin is known for taking risk and delivering good returns in the past also.
Correct.
But you cannot weight everybody with the same scale. There are other mutual funds who have very good quality of the papers, and conservatively they can give better returns than the FD. Definitely 1 or 2% plus returns on FD we can expect from debt funds even today.
Oh, thanks. There is a comment from Mohit, and let me respond to it. He says, why big companies not looking for Belgavi as an investment destination? Mohit, my view is that, don't worry about big companies. If you build a vibrant economy in Belgavi, big companies will come. But if you go to them with saying, please come to Belgavi, they will not come. So don't worry about big companies. If you have a vibrant economy, everybody will come. Everybody will come. See, that has happened to Bangalore. That has happened to Pune. It's now happening to Indore. So I would just put focus, what I can do there, the companies will come. Let me see. There are some more. We have some time here. Vishal, Ajay, can we extend this to about, let's say, 6:05 or 6:10? Okay, until they come back, let's say here is a question. Gig economy will thrive, but how do we bring such people together as it is a very nascent stage? Who wants to pick that? Chaitanya, you want to pick it up? Or you want me to, anybody else want to pick it up, this question? Gig economy is at a very nascent stage. I can answer that question if you want to. So let me sort of give it a shot, and then maybe some of you want to comment. The gig economy is here to stay, and it is basically saying there are no jobs, but there is enough work for everyone. Now, what has happened with COVID-19 is that physical gigs are in trouble, but digital gigs have zoomed. Some of the physical gigs have now moved to digital gigs. Even the companies, traditional companies that were resisting gigs, are now on the gig bandwagon. So yes, there will be change of the business model, and we will all have to go through it. But if you're an entrepreneur in gig economy space, you probably have an idea, an opportunity. And if you're a company that wants to use gig economy, I think there is an opportunity. That would be my 2 cents. Any of the panelists want to say on gig economy? Okay, fine, no problems. Let's go to the next question. What about e-commerce? It's a good time for growth. How will logistics affect this e-tail? Kiran or Mahesh, both of you want to take a shot at it?
Well, yeah. E-commerce or e-tail or basically logistics would definitely see a good growth. And when I say e-tail, like just Kiran mentioned e-tail would not be confined to only what we are seeing in the FMCG space, or maybe the grocery space, or what we are seeing. E-commerce would pick up in the automotive sector also, like Kiran did in his opening remarks, wherein there would be a lot of online sales, and the contactless selling would happen more and more. Automotive dealerships or any industry for that matter would reinvent itself because it would be more less of contact and more of online platforms which would come up. So e-commerce would I feel e-commerce would definitely see a surge in its growth. And once e-commerce grows, logistics cannot be far behind. Along with it, what I foresee and what I had said earlier, and you also endorsed that, we would be seeing more and more digitization even in the logistics space. Maybe we would see more of telematics coming into the logistics space, wherein we would be able to track where the vehicles are, and with the government pushing for RFID across and or the cashless tolls and all, we could see a great turnaround in the logistics space also. And I was talking to one of the automotive people, and they say one of the reasons for the downturn in the automotive was the turnaround time has reduced for vehicles, and that is where logistics would gain a lot. And this situation would improve, and I would say logistics and e-commerce both would see a major upsurge in their fortunes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to share with the panelists, because I do get involved somewhere, that the technology for logistics, supply chain, Mahesh talked about Sankhya. The next generation technologies are interestingly developed and available in India. So I'm not saying that we have to only use Indian technology. I don't believe that, because then you'll become inefficient. I think what America or China are doing is not the right one. In fact, we prospered after we opened up. So we need to do that, but we can be a very powerful player with some technologies. I want to pick the next question. Maybe we have another 7 minutes. Shashikant, this is for you. Let me read out. This is from Ronak. Sweden has attempted a herd immunity approach with no lockdowns, and people are dying at an alarming rate. Is there a positive evidence for herd immunity across the world?
Yeah, I think again you have to go back to history and like if you listen to the most eminent epidemiologist from India, Dr. Jayaprakash Mulial, he was Dean of CMC Vellore. He has been a proponent of herd immunity all this time. Till there is a cure, till there is a vaccine, herd immunity is the only thing because lockdown cannot continue forever. So lockdowns are temporary measures to maintain hospital capacity is not overwhelmed. That is the only thing. Right. So that is the bottom line. Everybody talks when you say flattening the curve, you are just prolonging the disease prevalence so that hospitals get ready, hospital beds are ready, or they are able to cope with. Otherwise, the only way to get out of this mess would be to when 50 to 60% of the population has immunity either by way of getting infected or by vaccine when it comes. Till magic.
I want to ask you a different spin, which is my personal question. I'm sure. See, in India, whether we realize or not, we use a lot of spices in a very interesting combination. For example, we eat haldi every day. Now suddenly everybody has discovered the antiseptic properties of it. We have used cumin seeds. We have used a whole lot of things. The death rate is very low in India, and I accept the fact that maybe we are not testing enough. But no government, nobody can fake death. So if there were a lot of people infected and there was a very high mortality, we would see a lot of people dying in India independent of testing. So is there something with the lifestyle or something because of which we are more resistant?
I think just to answer that question, a few things like BCG vaccine and our lifestyle, both were said to be some way protective for Indian population that we haven't seen the deaths that others are seeing. Mm-hmm. My take on this is, again, listening to some of my doctor friends who are in UK, mm-hmm. most people who got severe infection there or even deaths were Asians and Indians compared to the Caucasian population. So BCG as well as spice, which forms part of the diet there, even though they are migrated to UK, mm-hmm. probably not that much. I think India has been helped by a very stringent lockdown till now.
Okay.
Best performed or best implemented lockdown, but how long can we do this? That will be the question.
How do you explain Goa? Goa typically gets a lot of tourists from United States and Europe in January, February, and March. Little bit. We didn't have a lockdown, but it has not seen too much of corona there. How do you explain that?
I think both Goa and Kerala are two small states where their public health is very good. The public health system is excellent thing, and they're able to deal with this. Actually, if you can, if I just take a couple of seconds, mm-hmm. right now what India is doing is on the public health front, mm-hmm. that is trying to prevent disease, and they have done a decent job of trying to detect the disease, contact tracing, quarantine, and all that. They've done an excellent way, and India has been good because of experience with polio in the recent past. That's mm-hmm. how we eradicated polio from India. Correct. But when it comes to treatment part, the hospital treatment part, India is not yet tested. It has just started in places like Mumbai, wherein overwhelming number of people are coming and the health care infrastructure starts to crumble. So that is where the government will have to take a call, okay, prolong the shutdown or the lockdown somewhere.
Absolutely. There are some interesting comments here I'm going to read out. We have another 3 minutes. Amit Kalkundri says, I feel insurance per se will grow at about 30 to 40% with new products and new products coming up. Amit, more power to you. Make it grow because, any growth in business is good for all of us.
More for health insurance, hopefully.
Absolutely. Okay. What will the current scenario of medical tourism and what will be its future outlook? Shashikant, I think you need to take this question. Medical tourism.
Yeah, I think as the tourism has come down, I think medical tourism is out of the box as long as the pandemic exists. Mm-hmm. But I think it's an opportunity again. I would say every crisis should not be wasted, as they say. The Indian healthcare is Indians are young population. We have large number of medical colleges, large number of nursing colleges. I think this is a time our healthcare personnel can be trained or start servicing the world like IT did for other countries. I think present day Indian healthcare personnel will have to start looking at servicing the African countries or even Europe and USA. I think that will be.
Thanks, Shashikant. Milind Thakkar, here's a question for Chaitanya Kulkarni. Chaitanya has actually answered it, but let me state it. Chaitanya, if you have any, Milind ask Chaitanya, how do you see the real estate industry post COVID-19? Actually, there is no post COVID-19. It's COVID-19 now. So anyway,
Yes, still COVID-19. Yeah.
COVID-19. Any recommendations for housing, commercial? Please give your advice. So definitely. But let's see what you have more.
Definitely. As I've already told, the residential is going to have an upsurge, and it may not be a metro concentrated growth in the coming days. So it will be at par, and at par India, everywhere the growth may happen. That's my take. And though commercials, I feel whatever the present scenario, what people feel work from home will affect that, but it may not be a one-time phenomena. So it will take time. And by that time, I will be having a lot of ample opportunity to digest all those bigger properties.
Absolutely. Thanks. Shashikant, here's again for you. There's a good question from Ariba Nasar. What about the mental health of elderly and children? What can we do?
I think again, there's a lot which can be done using the technology today because we don't have enough psychiatrists or psychologists to help out with this. And again, as I mentioned, the stringent quarantine policies of our present country, which has helped in reducing a lot of deaths and transmission of the disease, has definitely impacted a lot of people who have been positive or been the contacts of the positive. They have been quarantined in various places. The families have been separated. So there's a lot of mental health issues which is going on. This is where things like Skype or digital media, which is helping to service this mental. That's a very important issue which we haven't done well till now. I think it's something which need to be taken up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think this is good. Let me see if I have a last question here. No, I think there are comments. Ajay and Vishal, there are some people who want to connect for specific things. So I guess they can reach out to TiE Hubli and then any of the panelists or myself, and we can answer their questions or give them whatever inputs we can post this webinar.
Yeah, Vishal here. I have given my email ID in the chat box. I'll type it in the chat box. They can write to me directly. I can share those questions to the relevant speakers.
Right. And before I close the webinar, I actually spoke with Praveen Bangodi, an entrepreneur from there, R.K. Patil, Venkatesh Patil, Parag Naik, who lives in Bangalore, for Sankhya Lab and few others. And all of them feel very, very positive about Belgavi. And all our panelists and Raj, who has been working behind to get this all going, feel very positively. I think at some stage, everybody coming together to take this corridor, which many of the participants have said, right from Dharwad all the way to Kolhapur, will be wonderful. I have a very selfish interest here. More you guys grow, the more opportunity for me to travel there subject to lockdown. So I'm looking forward to it. I will just a couple of minutes about TiE. Ajay talked about TiE Hubli. And just to sort of share with you, some of you may or may not know, TiE stands for the Indus Entrepreneur. This was a society, or this was a concept that evolved in Silicon Valley in the early 90s when people like Kanwal Rekhi, Suhas Patil, if you've been to Pune and you see Veritas, a lot of Suhas Patil's work went into creation of Veritas. When these people became successful, they felt that if you help an entrepreneur, then the entrepreneur will make few mistakes and they can grow. And from there, TiE has come today to be the largest body or collection of entrepreneurs around the world with over 65 chapters, primarily in United States and India. But I must tell you that Europe has chapters, Africa has chapters, Latin America has chapters. We have a wonderful chapter in Islamabad. So entrepreneurs are same everywhere, and they bring life make life interesting, and they bring wealth to the society. And TiE does that. One thing TiE says is for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. So on that note, I want to close this webinar. Thank you all for being with us for this slightly over an hour. I hope you found it useful. Any ideas you come up, do stay in touch with TiE, and we will take it from there. Thank you. You have a good evening, Saturday evening, and a good Sunday. Thank you, and bye now.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for your valuable insights on TiE Global as well. I would like to request Dr. Raj Belgaonkar to please, propose a word of thanks, thanking all our panelists as well as the participants for being here. Dr. Raj Belgaonkar.
Yeah, thank you, Ajay Andaji. Thank you so much for supporting the team in Belgaum and making this happen. I thank our moderator Kiran Deshpande for his consistent efforts to make this such a global version of an event. And we have learned a lot by working with him and learned a lot from him truly. And I'm sure he will continue to contribute to entrepreneurs from Hubli, Dharwad, Belgaum, Kolhapur, this entire region. He shares such a love for this area, and he admires the positivity that people from this region bring and the business sense that people have here. I thank from the bottom of my heart the panelists, Dr. Kulgod, Datta Kanbargi, Chaitanya Ji Kulkarni, Kiran Agdi, and Mahesh Bherangi for taking such efforts, and I've seen their preparation behind the scenes in getting answers for the questions that we thought would come, most of which came, and for which they were prepared so beautifully. I thank the team of TiE in Belgaum, which includes Venkatesh Patil, Mahesh Pirangi, Anita Kanbargi, and Nagaraj Bhatt for having been there behind the scenes. And I also thank the team of TiE Hubli, which is Vishal, and Rashmiji in Pune for having been behind the scenes backbones for this effort. And last but not least, let me thank the maximum of 157 people who are here today, and now they are up to 100, for having patiently listened to all the wisdom that Kiran Deshpande ji was able to get out of the panelists in today's discussion. We look forward to more discussions of this variety in the future. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.